I said that as an opening to my sister last night when we did a live, and she just cracked up. She couldn't stop laughing. And I was like,
Oh
"You
my
never heard that?
gosh.
Come on, let's go."
I've
Hello,
not heard it.
everybody. Welcome to the Cool Crone. You never heard that? Oh, well, it's a good one. Welcome to the Cool Crone. Thank you for being here. And oh, yes, we have somebody here. Thank you, Aspasia Rising, for being here. We really, really welcome you. And
Hi,
we're
Beth.
going to be talking. Hi. We're going to be working or talking about Letha or Midsummer, whatever you want to call it. And of course, my esteemed guest is Gerald from Tarotstache.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Oh, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. This is so fun.
Yes.
I was just telling Gerald that tomorrow we are celebrating Letha at my house. Yay. And we're actually going to celebrate a Wickening. One of our coven members has a baby, and we're going to do his whole naming ceremony tomorrow in my backyard, along with the midsummer ritual. So I'm really excited about that. It's really
Yes.
fun.
Which
It's really
is
going to
which
be
is
fun.
and this is the absolute perfect time to do that. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah. We had scheduled it for Beltane, and it ended up that I don't know if he was teething or something came up, but then um, did we even do Beltane outside? I don't even think we did Beltane outside. I mean, the weather was
mm,
crap, so it just turned out to be a much better thing. Hello, Bora Bora 333.
hi.
Um, so everything just worked out perfectly.
hmm
So I was very happy about that.
And Maruta, hello.
Yes. Hello, hello, hello. So, are
Hey.
you simulcasting, Gerald?
I'm not because I'm just driving people here so that they like and subscribe to the Cool Crone.
Yay! Yay! Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. I
So,
did a show with Susan Lynn last weekend, and
uh-huh.
I was thrilled with the amount of views that I got. I am always thrilled about the amount of views that I get, and she's so generous in coming on
Yes.
like almost once a month with me. It's pretty
Yep.
nice. And
That's
Cleo, she comes on with Cleo too.
mhm.
And I looked at her channel and I'm just, so happy for a couple hundred of views. She got 10,000 views.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because I have the best chatters, and I posted this on my community tab, and I'm like, join us. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, thank you. That's very, very kind of you and generous of you. I really appreciate
Sure,
that. And
sure.
I just want everybody in the chat to be the first to know I did hit 3,000 subscribers. Woohoo! Woo!
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
So I will be putting together some kind of a celebratory thing. And I'll be announcing that probably on the next Polyterology show, which is going to be Monday with Kevin and Mel. Um,
Nice.
yep. And Sunday I'm going to be on with I'm having Sybil Harmony on. We're going to be taking
Mhm.
personal questions and healing requests for
Oh,
Prompt.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. Hi,
Yeah.
Kiki Heroin.
Oh, that's so great. Well, so let's jump in. Let's hear what you have to say there about Midsummer there.
All right, I have a graphic because my husband is, he's quite good. But when we look at the wheel of the year,
Let me make you bigger.
this being Yule, and then we have so this being Yule, and then we go around Imbolc and all that. So
Mhm.
then we have Letha, or the summer solstice. It is the longest day of the year, so it's opposite of the shortest day of the year. And this is where we divide things. These are the equinoxes here in the northern hemisphere. These are the solstices, long day, long night. And
Mhm.
so we're just coming up on this, and it usually falls the 20th, the 21st, 22nd of June,
Yep.
usually.
Yep. Yep.
And so this is when we have gone from, this ends the actual waxing part of the year.
Mhm.
So from here to here, we are waning. And it's also the part where, because we have in some traditions, we have the Holly King shows up here.
Mhm.
And then I have to keep looking at, and the Holly King is in charge here. From here, it's the Oak King
Mhm.
who follows, and they're twins. So, and they don't really die, just one takes a break for 6 months. So there you go.
Very nice. Thank you. That's a beautiful graphic.
Thank you. So, but it helps because, for me, it's just a good way to understand and remember. It's like, okay, this is where we're going, and we've been getting little bits of sunlight added every day. And so on Wednesday, we're going to have it's going to look like the sun's going to stay in the sky for a long time, and
Yeah.
then we slowly move to the other part of that.
And it's
So,
so interesting that usually as we get past midsummer, that's when we start to get really hot. The heat increases, and yet we're losing the sun gradually,
yes,
gradually, but we are losing the sun. I find that astounding. If it were logical, it would be that it's hottest right now, and it clearly is not. It is
right, yeah,
hottest usually around Mabon,
yep,
that's when it's really hot. And then it drops off precipitously, then all of a sudden you got rain and the cooler air, but
yeah.
I love midsummer. I just absolutely love midsummer. I love the flowers are well, now with global warming, it's not the height of the flowers really. Some
Mm-mm.
things are very, very big, but a lot of things are just getting going. Like my stuff in my yard is just getting going.
Yes. Yes, and a lot of the berries are showing up. They're
Mhm.
they're going to make it through for a little bit, and then it's going to start getting too hot
Yeah.
at the end of the month.
Mhm.
So when we go into the dog days of summer,
Mhm.
the end of
August.
July and August, it's
Yeah.
like, ugh.
Mhm. Yeah, once the sun goes into Leo, it's just too much, and
Mhm.
it's just a lot.
Yeah.
So, do you have any, stuff to talk about, like, the history of it or anything like that? I'm sure you do.
Well, let me get my. I love it. Look
You
at
really? You have a
put your
little something, something for us
yeah.
as I drink
Uh,
out of my bottle.
you need a crazy straw, you know,
I
or
do. I drink so much stuff that after a while I'm just like, just it's me. It's a part of my hand.
well, I think this is one of the things that the celebration usually revolves being outside and happens usually during the day, where a lot of the other celebrations are at night, but this is about the full sun. So we're out in the gardens, we're firing up the barbecue, we're actually doing things that just get us outside.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really wonderful because when we look at this in the traditions, a lot of them were wearing the garlands,
Mhm.
and a lot of times they were yellow for St. John's wort. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So
Oh, that's so interesting.
yeah, and it's basically it's a community celebration of the ancients, and it was all about dancing, singing, storytelling, pageantry, and the feasting all around that village bonfire. And that bonfire, a lot of traditions were couples who were engaged or who were courting were jumped over the ashes or the bonfire. Many people took a flame home from the bonfire to keep
Right.
their homes warm and fertile. And basically they jump over the lethal fire 3 times to ensure a long and happy marriage,
Mhm.
financial prosperity, and many children.
Nice.
And the charred embers from the lethal bonfire possessed protective powers, and they were oftentimes used those in charms against injury and bad weather, in particular around harvest time.
Oh, yeah, because that's a very dangerous time. Got a lot of sharp objects going on there.
A lot of sharp objects, you're right, Colleen. And if your crops weren't secure and you couldn't get them in before the weather turned, then good luck making it through the cold
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, my grandfather was a farmer, and he farmed in the days when getting a tractor was sort of like, "Ooh, we bought a tractor." So,
yeah,
and yeah, very, very true. That harvest time is a dangerous time.
yep,
That and if you didn't get all the harvest in, you were screwed. You were
yes,
just screwed. And for them, it wasn't so much that they were gonna starve, because I mean, this was still in the 20th century, but that you wouldn't make any money if you didn't bring in your crops and sell them, and that would be bad for the farmer. Very,
correct.
very bad.
Which is, I actually think, as I think about this, these celebrations are really important because it reminds people of the sense of community and the
Mhm.
importance of that. Because um, one farmer does not, harvest their entire fields. They pretty much can. A lot of farmers will show up and help each other get their fields in, because that's the community. I'm going to help you, you're going to help me, and we're going to make sure that everybody in the community has the necessary supplies.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And they were the people who could help because they had the skills to help. They knew how to
yes.
do it safely, and they knew how to do it quickly.
Hmm.
And yeah, and so the sense of urgency was there for them as a community to get this
Yes,
all done. And then once they got it done, then they'd have a big dance and a bonfire and get drunk.
exactly. Exactly. Well, and I think, and a key thing to remember is, while we're here at Letha, we have Lamas or Lunasa, which is the first harvest. Then we
Mhm.
have Mabun, which is the second harvest, and Samhain is the third harvest. So depending upon the crop, this is when you get your, you harvest.
That's right.
And we
That's
do a
right.
lot of planting here.
Yep.
So it,
But hopefully by midsummer, most of your planting is done, and so midsummer could be a little bit more lighthearted and fun. You might
exactly.
be you might be tired from going out and taking care of the fields and mending fences and pulling the cows in and making sure the bull didn't pull down the fence, but
Hmm.
it wasn't a harvest festival. It was a time when they could just say, "Geez, it's the longest day of the year." Now, they're probably thinking, "Damn, I wish this day was happening during harvest season because then I'd have more light to get my harvest in." But
Exactly.
that's just the
Exactly.
way it was. That's just the
Yeah.
way it was.
Yeah, everything is in the ground, and now it's, I mean, and for us, school's out.
Yep.
And so, the kids can be a little crazy because they've been cooped up.
Mhm.
And it's part of that. um oh, and Beth said Letha is the break between planting and harvesting. Very
Mhm.
much so, because now we still really need that sun to help everything continue to grow in that heat. Of course, it's all about the balance, because you have to have water and rain in order to be
Mhm.
able to keep everything going.
Yeah. And, I remember my grandfather talking about how, the harvest schedule created the school schedule. Like, you
Yes,
you couldn't have kids working because they needed them. They needed them in the
that's right.
field. They needed the men in the fields, and they needed the kids to, like, take care of the animals and,
That's right.
feed the animals, milk the cows, doing all that stuff. Because on a farm, there's like 150 jobs, and there's usually only like 3 people to do it all.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
it's really a hard life. It's a very hard life. But, I spent summers on my grandfather's farm. It was
Mm.
really, really cool. Of course,
Yeah.
I didn't wear flowers in my hair at midsummer, but, um,
Well, and
he
I yeah, and I did grow up, and we had, because I came from a big family, we had a garden, and so we really did have, we did a lot of planting, usually on the weekends before school let out, and then
Mhm.
all of that stuff was planted. So this around the 4th of July is when we had to drudge ourselves out into the fields to really do that weeding and the
Yep.
heavy duty work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I remember one summer when I was in Iowa. My grandfather was in Iowa, and my sister wouldn't come that summer, so they let me bring a friend. And so we had like little matching outfits, and they were all, really brightly colored. And we were walking down the lane, and the lane went down 2 or 4 miles of the whole one length of his farm. And they had that lane so that they could take the trucks and the tractors all the way down on a road and then go into the fields. And so their neighbor's farm was on the other side. And so me and my girlfriend, were laughing and giggling. We're walking down the lane, and it's just a fun summer day. And we're walking by this field, and it seemingly was a kind of a dead field, like there was nothing there. It wasn't a bunch of cattle or anything like that. And then way, way, way off in the distance, I'm like, is that a cow? And she's like, yeah, I think it's a cow. And we kept staring at it and staring at it. And pretty soon we realized it was bigger. We're like, oh, the cow's coming a little closer. And then all of a sudden it was real close. It wasn't a cow, it was a bull. And because we were wearing bright colors, it was going to charge the fence and try to kill us.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, we ran back to the house.
Wow.
And
Wow.
we told my grandfather immediately, and he and his guys had to go down and fix the fence, and somebody had to go rein in the bull. But in those days, bulls definitely had rings in their nose, so they had a good way of getting the bull. But it's
Yeah.
true that bulls do get just incensed at bright colors, and they will just
Mhm.
run, and plus we were giggling and shrieking and things. I'm sure that attracted his attention. But
Oh, of
yeah, that was
course.
fun. Another fun story about the farm. My grandfather knew that we were a little bit bored on the farm, but this was a summer when I was there with my sister, and my sister had made friends with the tenant farmer's son, who was just a few years younger than her. And they were spending most of their summer just finding places where they could smoke cigarettes and not light the farm on fire or get caught smoking cigarettes.
Yes.
And so so I was just left on my own. I was kind of bored. I was trying to figure out what to do. And he did get me a pony to ride. He didn't buy it. He just borrowed a pony from a neighbor. But he knew I needed a pal, so he brought me a baby raccoon from the barn. So a baby raccoon was my pal.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he had a loose tooth and two gigantic ticks in his ear, so he only lived about 4 days.
Aw.
That was my pal for 4 days.
Aw.
Yeah, it was weird because, I had been taught growing up in Seattle that things like raccoons you probably shouldn't make friends with because they probably had rabies.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
was just like, I can touch this thing. It's like, yeah, you can touch it. You can maybe nurse it back to health. Maybe
Wow.
he'll come back to health and, be your playmate or whatever. He did not, though. He died, but it was
Aw.
a nice thought.
Well, and I think, this is the time at the beginning. It tends to be hot during the day, but it cools off at night.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there's that interesting balance. And then, you know, e- end of July and August, it's hot all around. It's like,
Yeah.
there's not enough water to help hydrate from all the sweat. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember during, I mean, at this point we would have some of the crops would actually start being good in the fields, and we would actually go in and hide in between the rows as we were playing hide
Yeah.
and seek.
I remember
So,
doing that too. Yeah, that's
so
right. I
yeah,
was trying to the summer I was there with my girlfriend, I was trying to give her an appreciation of the cornfields. And I was telling her, you haven't lived until you've eaten corn off the cob right from the corn plant. And she's like, that does not sound good. And I said, oh, come on, come on. I want to show you. So I took her down again, and she's like, isn't that bull going to get us? I'm like, no, no, it's okay. They got him tied up.
yeah.
And we walked in the cornfields, and she was tall. She was like a head taller than me. She was really
Mhm.
tall. And this is something she always kind of lorded over me because she could always reach things that I couldn't. But we started walking into the cornfields, and all of a sudden she wasn't tall anymore. All of a sudden the corn was way
Oh,
over her head, and she was like, wow, this is like being in another world. And I
yep,
said, yeah, it is. It is
yep.
exactly. And she was just amazed that the rows were so straight. And I'm like, well, they have machines to help them with that. That's why the
Yeah.
rose is so straight. It's
Yeah.
not like a person planted every single one of these things, you know.
Mhm.
But she was so little by little, she really gained a great appreciation for the
Wonderful.
farm and farm life and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And
I remember one of the phrases was is that if the corn was knee high by the 4th of July, it was going to be a good year. But
that's right.
if it was short, there was a lot of concern.
Yeah. I just spilled something on my mic. I'm gonna mute
Uh,
myself and wipe it off.
I'll catch up with some people. Beth said, Espacio. Oh, by the way, Val is here. Hello. And Jay, good to see you. When you're rural, you depend on community. And
Hmm.
definitely in my mom's generation, kids were taken out of school all the time for farm work. Yes. And oftentimes for the first day of hunting season.
Hmm. Hmm.
And, it's there. And then I asked that question, how are you celebrating summer solstice this year? And Val is spending time outside and appreciating nature and the elementals.
Mm.
Love that. And then Maruda shared Latvians make cheese, drink beer, and sing songs around a bonfire. Then they jump over it. Yep.
Cool. Very cool. So, talking about nature and the elementals, midsummer has always been, for me, a great time to commune with the fairies,
Hmm.
even more than at Beltane. Um, I think because it is that time in between planting and harvesting. You know, fairies do like to play, and
Yes,
and humans are more inclined to play if they don't have work on their mind.
that's true.
So midsummer is always just a, I don't know, it's so, to me, midsummer is always pink and salmon colored and fairies and flowers and just, this beautiful, beautiful, fun stuff. I really equate it with a lot of Venusian things, even though it happens in the time of just going into Cancer,
Mhm.
'cause Cancer is the moon and Gemini coming before it is Mercury, but I guess Cancer with the moon is pretty close. But I don't equate moon colors with midsummer. I guess because of all the flowers, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. I had a conversation at one point talking about the colors for the holidays, and
Mhm.
all colors work for each of the holidays because if you pay attention, all of the colors are present throughout the year. Just at midsummer, Letha, they're very bright, they're very intense, they're
Mhm.
a lot of that. They're the full color. Yeah,
Yes, vivid. They're vivid.
vivid is
Yeah.
the word. It's the perfect word. and
Ah.
and and I can actually see the fairies. They probably love, I would imagine they love being able to be out this time of the year because there's lots of places to hide. They can follow the plants and the trees, there's leaves and the beautiful flowers. And let's face it, kids are out and about. And I think I saw the first lightning bugs. That feels really early, but
Wow, that is early.
it was
Wow.
it was weird. So,
Well, I know, like I mentioned when we were still backstage, Beltane this year, we didn't even get outside. So I don't recall seeing any fireflies because I wasn't out there. But yeah, the fairies have just a lot of different places where they can, I don't know if it's always hiding. I think it's more just having camouflage with all the plants and flowers, just having a place to blend in because, they can like a fairy colored like I am could like blend into the geraniums and the daisies and all the flowers that are out there.
mhm.
Uh, I know I love this time of year. I really do. And it's interesting what you say about the colors. I think that's true. I think, you can't have everything monochromatic and or even just two or three colors. You're going to have pretty much all the colors. It depends on
Mm,
which colors are dominant, you know, like
yes.
like I
Yeah.
find for many, many, many holidays, and this goes not just for pagan holidays or Wiccan holidays, but any holidays, red is always a predominant color. And
Mhm.
that could be because we equate it with blood, and a lot of our holidays have to do with people who have shed blood.
Yes.
including women who shed blood, you know? I
Yes.
mean, like
Yes.
Beltane, that's what that's all about, the red and
Mhm.
white, if you use that for Beltane. And yet many people equate the springtime colors like pastels almost with Beltane. But
Mhm.
then what do you do for Ostara? Well, we think of Easter eggs, you know, pastel Easter eggs and things like that. But
Because
that's
they're
kind of everything.
yeah, they're fresh and new.
Mhm,
So,
mhm,
yeah.
representing the birth and fertility and all of that stuff.
Yep.
But for midsummer, I think fairies, I think on the cusp of harvest, like the height of summer, the bounty of summer, and it isn't really it is midsummer, but in my area right now, it isn't everything blooming. I mean, a lot's blooming, but it's not
Mhm.
like in a few weeks, like closer into the end of June, that's when you're gonna see just burgeoning blossoms on things, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I have a lot of daylilies, the orange daylilies
Oh, I love those.
along my fence, and I'm seeing them, get the stalks out, and so I'm imagining the end of next week and, to the first week in July, they're gonna be blooming, and it's lovely.
Yeah.
It's quite fun,
You
quite
just
fun.
reminded me of something. I can expect to see daylilies this year. Oh, I'm so excited.
Very
So
nice.
excited. Yeah, they're really, really beautiful. So
Yes.
what else do we do at midsummer? I mean, there's no maypole. We did that at Beltane. So what's the big primary thing?
I it it's dancing around the fire. It's doing
Mhm.
all of the things that are I wouldn't say well, yeah, I would say romance, but it's the marriage, it's the things that are
Marriage, yeah.
things that we want to, shine the light on and to last for a long time.
Mhm.
Whereas Beltane is about the, carnal fulfillment,
Mhm.
and this tends to be a bit more of the long-term commitment and that what that building is in that relationship. Because
Mhm.
if all of the community is around Colleen, we're
Mhm.
going to be enjoying each other. We're going to be
Yeah,
building those relationships.
right. And this year, I was just looking at my ephemeris here. This year, just a few days before actual midsummer, we have a new moon, which
Mhm,
the lunations don't always fall in line with the Sabbats and the cross quarters. But this year, with the new moon coming a few days before, we will really feel that what um, the growing of the moon,
yes.
the waxing of the moon. I couldn't think of the word for a minute.
Mhm,
And that's another feeling at midsummer is that things are just getting bigger, more plentiful. There's more stuff, there are more vivid colors, everything's more, more, more. And
mhm,
that does for me, that does equate to the moon because the moon is water, it rules water, it controls water. And when you add water to something, it usually expands, it usually gets bigger, right? It
yes, yes.
soaks up the water and it's bigger and fuller, and you got the full moon that's all controlling our tides and all the water and everything. And that feeling is almost like a woman who's pregnant about to give birth, you know, that
Yes.
big burgeoning feeling. And
Mhm.
that's what I think midsummer is really, really all about.
You're right. It is about that growth, and there's a lot of time this is a great time to harvest herbs or herbs, depending upon where you live, because they're still going to grow. They're going to replenish, and if you were to dry some of these herbs over the the Letha bonfire, you have all of that energy that is building into those for kitchen witchery and for other witchery throughout the year. So
Yeah. Yeah, I usually do 2 harvests of my herbs. I usually do one right around midsummer because they draw my eye. When I'm out in my yard, I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, that sage looks amazing. That lavender is so lush." And so
mhm,
I can't help myself. This year though, because I'm having everybody for midsummer and it's before actual midsummer, I'm gonna leave them alone so they look pretty. And then as soon as they're gone, I'm gonna be out there whacking them down and
yeah,
bundling up my sage bundles.
yeah,
I like to combine, lavender and sage in my bundles, and
mhm,
they they just make me happy when they burn. It's really
Well, and
happy.
that's part of the beauty of it is you know, when we pay attention to the natural cycles of the growing season, and we pay attention to how we feel with that, there's a whole lot of power in that. It's that intention.
Mhm.
It's like,
You're
you know,
right.
it's like, oh wow, these things make me happy, and they're really prolific now. Let's harvest some of those so that happiness is accessible during different times of the year.
Yeah, and you had mentioned the ashes from the bonfire. I whenever we have a ritual that we have a really great time, well, we always have a great time, but when the fire is good, I usually gather the ashes afterwards. That's one of the things that I do the day after because we have to let the fire burn all the way down. It has to cool up, blah, blah. You can't do it until like the next day. But I always save those ashes and I date
Yeah.
them and I note what sign the moon is in and because you never know when somebody, let's just face it, you just never know when you're going to need a little ash for a spell. You just don't know. You, you
That's
can't
true.
anticipate. You just can't anticipate.
Well,
But yeah.
and that's part of the beauty of it, because when as you're doing, when you note the phase of the moon and when they were harvested and the day of the week and all of that, those are beautiful things that I think Midsummer is all about. It's about that layering. It's
Hmm.
about what are we noticing, as you mentioned, Colleen, that growth, and
Yeah.
that growth and things are expanding.
Hmm.
It's perfect.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, so all that stuff that goes into it, you have the fire, you can save the ashes, you can use your herbs, you can dry your herbs over the fire, although I don't have a means of doing that. They would just get thrown in the fire and, burn up. But the colors that people use, um I know I did one midsummer. Did I do that one by myself? I think I did it by myself. And it was a lot about fairies, but we also incorporated crystals into the ritual.
Oh, nice.
Flowers, of course we had flowers, but we had a lot of crystal stuff and we did a crystal meditation and we did a that oh, that's what it was. Yeah, that was the year that I did the meditation for the fairy portal. It was all about fairies that year.
Ooh,
And I gave everybody crystals to hold in their hands while they did the meditation so that when they went home, they could hold that same crystal and do a meditation of their own and go back to the same place. So that was the idea, was to infuse their or program the crystal, if you will, to be a helper to get to the fairy portal. So
mhm.
I remembered that very fondly, so I like that. I
That's
um,
beautiful.
it was fun. Yeah, it was really cool. It was really, really I liked it. But I'm when people know that I'm doing a ritual, I gotta tell you, I think they run for the hills because when when I do
Why?
well, because my lectures are very long.
Oh,
I'm a teacher, so I'm very thorough. I think they're interesting, and I always write a meditation. And sometimes my meditations are very long because I like people to really go deep. So I usually spend quite a bit of time really getting people relaxed and clearing their chakras. And when you do that in succession, you do the relaxation and breathing all the way up your body, and then you do get all your chakras aligned and balanced. Then you do the meditation, you're going to outer space, man.
yeah.
You are going. And so I like to do that because then the meditation is so much more meaningful. You really do have a little vacation on your meditation. And I think why else would you do it?
Well, that reminds me, Prince, when he would make music, he would spend a lot of time creating the atmosphere that the song was all about. And
Yeah.
so it a lot of times when he was working with other, you know, he was doing a duet or with other musicians, it was all about creating that mood, aligning the chakras, making sure everything was in the right place, because and to capture that in like one take, which is a lot of times what happened, it was phenomenal. And
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, to program the human and to program the stone the human is holding, boom,
Hmm.
for the
Yeah.
win.
Yeah, because you know, when you're doing, if you do magic, if you do spells, um, you should just make it as efficient and effective as possible. And the best way to do that is to use as many correspondences that are meaningful to you
Yes.
and that are, you know, germane to the what you're trying to do as possible, because then it's easy. Then
Yeah.
it's just you, your intention, and what you're doing, and then everything flows. You know, you got that color on, you're wearing a gold locket because it's Leo, you know, you're wearing, you know, just everything is easier that way.
Absolutely. Did you see the question that Beth Aspasia Rising asked?
Yeah, oh, I can answer that. So I do have many fairy decks, many that I use, and I have I done it on my channel? I have done pick a cards where I use a lot of different fairy decks and you choose a stone for which reading you want. But I think that the decks these days are so beautiful.
They really
I'll just pull out whatever's handy. I'll just show you a couple.
sure. One of the decks that I'm using this time of the year is the Spectra Whirl.
Ooh.
And because it is so bright and it's very fiery, I like it quite a bit. So it's quite lovely, and it makes me happy, which is exactly what I want to see with it. So
Oh, that's gorgeous. What is that called?
it's the Spectra Whirl.
Spectro World. Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
And
Just like
even, even the tower, which can be a challenging card, it's bright, it's very psychedelic, it's really quite beautiful. So, and many people who have seen me recently, I've been using this. This is my deck of for the month of June.
Beautiful. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's a lot of fun. It
That's
it it actually works very well with your dress.
it does, which is crooked at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I just, you know, randomly picked a bunch. So one of the ones that I like to use is Doreen Virtue's Terry Fairy Tarot,
Okay.
or Terry Farrow, you know, if that floats your boat. And then I bought this one and I don't use it a lot because I don't like to have to refer to a guidebook when I read.
Yes.
And I'm just not familiar enough with these. And I'm not very good at doing Lenormand readings without looking at a guidebook. So I don't do those on YouTube because it's going to take me about a decade to get good at
Oh,
that.
okay.
But I do have a Fairy Lenormand deck.
Really? That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's by who's it by? M. Katz and T. Goodwin. I'm sure I got it off of Amazon. Now, this one, I don't know if you can even buy this anymore. I bought this one many, many, many years ago. This is called the Fairy Wicca Tarot, and
Wow.
she has extra cards in it, and she also published books about it. Kisma. Who else? Of course, her name is Kisma. Kay Stepanich, and I think I want to say she's Scottish, and she has extra cards in this for trying to think for it's the directions or the elements or something like that.
Mhm.
But it's really cool, and it comes with a fairly substantial little book. But she also published books about this. I think one or maybe two volumes. And downstairs I have Brian Frone's Fairy Oracle, and
Yep.
it's so gorgeous.
He's
And then
so
yeah, his drawings are just outstanding. So, and then I have Magical Unicorns
Oh, okay.
by Dorian Virtue, and I have Mermaids and Dolphins. And,
Nice.
and I'm sure I have a few others, but you know, those were just close by.
Hmm.
So, so I'll just get a few of those out of the way. But what I like to do with them is combine them in a reading. So I'll take a few from each deck for one person's reading and kind of combine all of that stuff because you know the fairies are very spontaneous. Well,
Yes.
flower fairies are very spontaneous.
Hmm.
Some fairies not so much. I mean, I wouldn't say that a brownie is a spontaneous fairy or a gnome or a, you know,
Yeah.
I would say not so much. But I think when we talk about fairies, especially from Midsummer or Beltane, I think most people are thinking of flower fairies, but there's all different kinds of fairies, you know. But
Mhm.
fairies are so cool. They're kind of like, um, earth angels, they're like they're connected to the earth, and they
Sure.
come in all different styles, and they
Mhm.
tend to be very local. There's always usually kind of local regional kinds of fairies, that really hang out in one region of the world. And yet when people migrate, sometimes those fairies come with them.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I love fairies. So I have on my channel, I did redo the fairy portal meditation. If anybody is interested in listening to it, it's on my channel. I think it's under the live section, and it's a meditation to a fairy portal. And
Ooh,
it's got my trademark, 45 minutes of relaxation, breathing, and chakra clearing, and then you get 10 minutes of meditation. No, I'm kidding. The meditation is pretty sizable too. But it's it's you'll get an idea of how much I get into the relaxation, because I think that's so important. It's
yes.
just, but it's cool. It's a cool
Well,
thing.
and I think one of the other things that is good to do during Letha Midsummer is divination.
Mm.
And
Thank you. We
especially
completely forgot about that. It's the most excellent time to do it.
it really, really is, especially this year because we're close to a new moon, which is a great time to
Mhm.
do divination. So
Yeah, yeah, great time. I have to apologize if you see things wiggling in my frame. My cat has found a place on my table to sit that's on
nice.
the other side of my monitor, and when she
Uh-huh.
gets up and moves around, it just makes everything go like this, and it's either that or she wants to walk on my keyboard. She's just, I'm her person and she owns me, and
Yeah.
that's
Of
just the way
course.
life is.
Yeah.
So but yeah, divination, definitely. Well, in
Mhm.
honor of divination, shall we do a little divination?
Let's do a little divination. And there's a whole bunch of people who have come in: Jules Niner, White Wolf Mother, Sharon Sipe,
What am I gonna do? Oh my god, I don't
Sherry.
know what deck to use. Oh my gosh. I'm all at Twitter. I don't know what to do. I'll do the I'll do the fairy tarots, because that's the tried and true for me.
I'm gonna use the Spectro Whirl.
Yeah,
So
please do, please
this
do.
one's
So
making me happy.
so shall we do a general one for the crowd, and then we'll take a few questions from people?
I'm certainly open to that.
Okay, let's do it. So guys, in the chat, if you would like a little quick reading from us, put some questions in the chat. And first we're going to pull some cards just for the general group.
Everybody remember to like and subscribe, show your support.
And don't forget to breathe when you do it. Remember, we all inhale and like. Exhale, subscribe. Inhale, think of your comment. Exhale, type it in.
There you go. I love that. Jules Niner said Fairy Wiccan Tarot is on Amazon.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay. I think it might have gone out of print for a while, but I've had mine for God, I don't want to say how long I've had it. I'll really date myself. But she's wild. She sort of invented it. She sort of like created this whole system herself.
I love that.
Yeah.
A goatee mom is here. Hi.
I found that deck when I was just starting to explore fairies, and
Hmm.
it drew me. Of course, I'm so superficial. I'm a Libra, oh, fairies and Wicca, I'll buy it, but then when I really looked into it and I got her other book, that's a real book that goes with it, I was like, this chick is serious. She
Yeah.
just had like a whole world going on here, and I just fell in love with it. I just thought it was so cool. But it isn't regular tarot, and it was a little bit tricky for me to tell what the suits were. They were really different, and those extra cards. So I put it away for a long time, but it is a cool
Hmm.
deck. It's very
That's
cool.
beautiful.
Okay. So you can go if you're ready.
I am ready, and we've got a couple of questions. Joan P. Aspasia Rising. Um,
Oh, any messages from the fairies?
so
No.
one of the things that okay, so here's my reading, and the reading is especially around Midsummer or Letha. This is the Nine of Swords, and the Nine of Swords oftentimes is a nightmare card. This is the point of remembering what I'm feeling about this is get out of your head and in your body. Spend as much time as you can outside, because when we get out of our head and we get our hands in the dirt, we walk, we do things, when we do that, it 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 gets us back out of our minds into our bodies. Then we have the Page of Cups, and the Page of Cups is about feeling new ways, because when we get out there, things are going to change. We're going to feel differently about that. And then we're going to have a sense of loss. This is the Five of Cups. There's
Mm-hmm.
going to be some sense of disappointment. And guess what? This is all a natural part of life, because the last card that I got, which is perfect, is the Empress. Especially
Mm-hmm.
at Midsummer, the Empress knows how to care for us, to help us reach our fullest potential. We have to be
Mm-hmm.
willing to do that. We have to be willing to get out of our brains, feel new things, feel lots of things. And I like to remind people, Five of Cups isn't always about necessarily feeling sad. It's about having feelings and letting those
Mm.
feelings come out instead of just holding them in. So,
Excellent.
but
Yes,
come
excellent.
on, we all need an empress.
We do. We
So,
really do. That's beautiful.
yeah.
Okay, what did it okay, I'm trying to star these things. Okay. So, the first one that I got is the 6 of Summer, which is saying, remember the childhood. And so that goes along with getting outside. I don't know if all of you as children were able to play outside, but playing outside is just what all of us need, especially us older folks. We need to really get in touch with that. And then I have the 9 of Springs.
Mm,
And this is saying, protect the fruits of your labor, which is what I'm doing with the deer spray. Uh,
yes.
that
Yeah.
you have value. The things that you value have value for you, and if you don't protect them, if you just sort of take them for granted and don't honor them by protecting them, you could lose them. So make sure that you do
Mm.
protect them. And then she took a dark turn. She got release. So something for a lot of our viewers are going to have to let something go.
Mm-hmm.
And, that new moon right before midsummer would be the perfect time to really focus on that. And I'm just going to give a little advice here for the new moon. If you want to get in touch with what it is that you need to let go, first of all, you're not going to do the whole Encyclopedia Britannica of letting go in one go. Okay. You got to do one thing at a time. But before you can do that one thing, you need to identify it. And the dark moon, the new moon, is a perfect time to identify it because
Yep.
when in the new moon, you're going within. Feelings are emotions in your body, right? So if
Yes.
you can go within, you can meditate, take a bath, take a walk with your dog, take a walk in nature, be alone in some way, allow yourself to get into your head, and then feel what is your body telling you. Is there an ache? Is there a pain? Is there
Mhm.
is there a tingle? Is there an itch? Is there a shortened muscle, a stiff muscle? What is it? Is there something in your head? Is there an emotional thing that's coming to the surface? The dark moon is the best time to get to that. And once you identify that, then just let yourself sit down and meditate and ask your guides, your angels, whoever, to help you release it.
Yes.
Just ask for release. If you ask, you can make it happen. But you have to know what it is that you're trying to release. You can't just say, I release everything that's bad. That's too broad. And it's also not sincere. You have to be sincere in your intentions and you have to dig a little bit deep. And I'm telling you, the dark moon is the perfect time to do that. In the bath is really a good one
Yep.
because you're in the water, right? The water is holding you and waters represent emotions. And so you can really, really let go physically, and then just see where are we uncomfortable? Where are we worried about, oh, I
True.
don't want to shift too much this way or that way. Just tune in first to the physical, and then the emotional will come after that. So that's my little thing about that.
That's great advice. And because I'm a firm believer, if you can actually name something, then you can control it. You can let it go. So if you know where in your body it is that you're feeling it, then you can work on that and releasing. That's so powerful. No wonder she's called the cool crone, people.
Thank you. Well, and
Boom.
another thing is, once you start to get into those feelings and the physical feelings, especially if you're not quite connecting it to an emotion, some of these things are coming from past lives. So you
Mhm.
might want to do a little meditation about a past life and
Yes,
release that. Because very often emotional trauma does come with us from past lives. And a
yeah,
lot of times there's no reason why we're feeling a certain way, except that it's a holdover from a past life. So let's go
yes.
back and get some of these questions.
Mhm.
Okay, now where did I okay,
Lots of
start. There you go.
appreciation for the reading. So that was great.
Thanks. So we'll do Joan P first. Any messages from the fairies for me? Well, of course, Joan. Of course, there's going to be messages from the fairies for you.
Yes. Hi, Sonia. Joan, I have the chariot, which is suggesting to me a couple of things. Uh, one of them is you're going to get you're going to have active dreams. For me, the chariot is about dreams and being taught in the dreams. It's also an opportunity for you to, the fairies are suggesting to be willing to look at these horses. We have the white horse and the dark horse. It's the two aspects of ourselves. So we need to be willing to look at it. The fairies are going to help you look at things you may not want to look at. And I love this because this is the charioteer right in the center. And have some fun. Be willing to go on an adventure, because we also have the page of coins, which is that adventure can take some time. Go enjoy it. I mean, spend a penny to go and ride a Ferris wheel or something like that. Go have a little bit of fun. Um, and also maybe leave a little change around as a thank you for the fun. So I think that's a great. I love how this looks like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very connected. That's
Very, very
cool.
much fun.
That's cool. All right, Joan. So I have for you the Seven of Summer, and it's telling you to stop procrastinating because you're confusing yourself. So
Mm.
there's something that you need to do. Maybe it is taking a little vacay, taking a little 4-day weekend or something and go having some fun. And this card has a lot of gold in it and the rainbow coming down, which I
Mhm.
think is, what are your wishes? What do you want? What's meaningful to you? What's important to you? Go do it. Do it now. And then we have the Queen of Autumn. And the Queen of Autumn is kind of a precursor to the next card. So I'll just show you both of these cards together. We have the Queen of Autumn and the Princess of Summer. And basically, what this is saying is that you are on the precipice of possibly meeting somebody, and that this might be a very nice relationship for you, but you're a little bit holding back. um, but you can have a good time with this person. They can draw you out a little bit, but also you have to acknowledge how beautiful you really are.
Mhm.
And that's another something that you're procrastinating on, is really working on accepting how beautiful you are, so
Yeah.
that you can open up your heart to sharing your life with somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. So Aspasia Rising says, please advise on the energy around me. I'm in a weird place after a friend died, vacillating a lot. I think I'm going to choose another deck for this. What deck am I going to use?
Yeah, Beth, and I remember you saying that it was very unexpected, and it is discombobulating. So I am
Yeah, it
seeing
is.
people from the spectro world. The energy around you is just the Seven of Cups. You're remembering, you're thinking about, you're looking at all of the possibilities, and you're also it's different than the Six of Cups where it's nostalgia. This is a wondering about what the next things are you can do. And if we're looking at the fairies, um they're look for the ways that they are sharing the colors and the gifts that you have around you is very much what I'm thinking with that. Also, we have the Nine of Coins. And the Nine of Coins, this is someone who has a sense of leisure for themselves. They're comfortable in where they are. Um and that's it's okay to pause for a minute and to move slowly after this. I'm going to pick the bottom of the deck card, Beth, which is the Six of Swords. This is a movement. This is you actually transitioning, and you're like, okay, this is what has happened. I'm sad. Feel the sadness, and be willing to recognize it, and move with it. Okay, that I just say it, Gerald. Be willing to move with it so that way you can go through it and you can honor your friend and yourself and the future and the past. So, oh, and Beth said, so true, Gerald. A small bright red cardinal has begun coming to my yard. I'd be putting out some bird feed in order to encourage. So
Oh, that was beautiful, Gerald. That was a really nice reading. I'm just going to say, there's a, you know what? I'm just going to leave Gerald's reading because I loved what he said about honoring your feelings and honoring yourself and what's going on. I'm not really going to be adding anything new to that. So I'm just going to leave it where it lay with his stuff. All right. So, question is Kelly. Let's see. Oh, whoops. I got rid of it. Oh, I didn't mean to. Okay. Well, I'll put this one up and I'll go look for the other one. Okay. So, Jules Manor, what do the pixies on my property need more from me?
Listen to me. Oh, playing with the pixies. Sorry to hear about your cousin, Jules. Is that Jules who said that? Another loss. Wow.
Well, the movement between Pluto and Neptune over the last 6 months, a lot of people have lost people.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
It's
drop the card. I'm going down for it.
Oh, and he's up, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Gerald was able to pick up the card and
It was the
stand
King of
again.
Swords. How's that?
Oh, very important. Very,
Yes.
very important.
You're welcome, Beth. Jules Niner, what do the pixies on my property need more from me? They need you to be magical. This is the magician. They need you to go out and to be all that, to look for ways of demonstrating. Oh, no, they just need you to be magical. They need to be your kind of magical. Because I also got the Three of Wands, because when you get to be magical, look around the yard and plan, where could I put something to create a little bit of magic, or to have a bit of play area, something that would surprise and bring joy, because it certainly would. It would make them happy. This is the Nine of Cups. I mean, the Magician, the Three of Wands, and the Nine of Cups, they need you to go out there and be willing to have some fun in unexpected ways.
Mm-hmm.
So
the first rule when you start working with fairies is that don't think that they're going to just do stuff for you. The first rule is you do something for them, and then they'll do something for you. So if you want their favor, you want to bring them shiny or sweet things. That's the only criteria. It really isn't that hard.
yeah.
If you have something that's wrapped in a shiny package, they love that. Just make it small enough that they can handle.
Yeah.
They like sweet things like mead or honey, or they like candy, but not like chocolate. They don't like chocolate, but sugary candy, like hard candy and stuff. They like sweet stuff. So you give them a little gift and then they'll give you something. Now, here's something else you may not know about your pixies or fairies is that if you just clean up your property, make sure there's no trash laying around, make sure that it's pleasing. And you don't have to do a big landscaping project over it, but just a few little corners or places where they can feel welcomed, like those silly little, fairy furniture things like you can get at the dollar store. Yeah, maybe a chair, maybe a little bench, maybe one of those doors, those fairy doors, and you just put it up against the trunk of a tree. That just makes them feel like, yeah, okay, she's acknowledging us and who we are and what's going on. Because the cards that I got for you, I pulled out the Lenormand ones for this. I got the fox, the mice, and what was this one? Choices. So the fox is cunning, so it's a little bit like the magician, like use your head, be resourceful, think about this a little bit, not too long, just get out there and do it. And the mice is productivity, so there's a lot going on. You can do a lot of little things, and mice are small, so you don't have to do big huge acts of changing nature just for them. But you do need to make choices, and I love this picture on this. You do need to make a choice and just do it. Just do it. It could be one thing. One thing. Leave out a piece of candy one day, stick a little fairy door on the trunk of a tree the next day, boom, you've helped them. And then just wait until you really decide how you want that relationship to go. Because if you sit in your yard long enough, you're going to get communications from them. And also, don't ignore the trees. Make sure that you touch the trees and allow yourself to communicate with the trees. A great thing if you're feeling anxious or having any sort of back issues, just lay your spine against the tree and just let the tree heal you.
Yep.
Trees are amazing. It's like having permanent elephants on your property. They're just amazing. The healing and the love you can get from a tree without. Now, trees are not fairies, right? And you don't have to leave sweets for a tree. You can just talk to the tree. So trees and fairies and everything, they all kind of go along together, but you just need to make a little place for them. Okay, so we have another one here. Okay, we did that one. And let me see if I can find that one that I lost. I'm so sorry that I lost it. Somebody
I was just looking through Sonia at 8:55 had do they have a message for me?
Okay. Yeah, let's do that one. Okay. Let's do something for that.
And Beth, sometime this evening would like you to talk about, would you please summarize the Pluto and Neptune transit thing
Sure.
you said, so I can take notes.
Sure. Okay, let me grab this other. I'm actually going to
And
use. Yeah, go ahead.
Jules Niner said I placed twinkle lights out and left honey out.
Oh,
I have a
oh,
perfect spot
perfect.
for those.
Perfect. That's perfect. Now, if you're still wondering what they need more of, go sit under those twinkle lights at twilight or just as the sun's coming up. Those are
Yeah.
the best times to commune with the fairies because it's the in-between times. And that's when they really can be accessed easiest.
Yes. By the way, I put mint in my seltzer water because mint is a great herb for this time of the year.
Nice.
Very prolific.
I know. I grow mint, and my landscaper's like, "Why do you want to plant mint?" And I said, "I got my reasons." Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Muggle, just back off and do my mint.
Don't ask questions. It's safer. Sonia, do they have a message for?
I love your picture, Sonia.
Sonia, the first is the Five of Cups. This is a card about loss. It's not about loss. It's a card of emotion and allowing your emotions to flow freely and to come through you and out. And one of the things that's important when I see a Five of Cups, in particular this one, all of the emotions are valid at all times. Not one is better than the other. The thing to remember is not to focus on the sadness for too long. Because the other message for you, Sonia, is the Page of Wands. This is shown up again, and the Page of Wands here is about you having that renewed energy. And I think about this Five of Cups. This Five of Cups is like a refreshing rain, so then you can be fully who you are and be willing to shine a bit brighter. It's like when you dust something. I never dust, so don't ask me. I've just heard. When you clean a window, you spray it. That's the Five of Cups. When you wipe it down, that's you being the Page of Wands so that you can see clearly, and and the ideas and the clarity is there. So that's what I'm thinking, Sonia.
Nice. Now I have a completely different message for her.
Good.
So this message is the first card. This is from Messages from the Fairies. This is another Doreen Virtue deck. And the first card that came up said, business venture, trust your hunches, follow through. You have a business venture to follow. And that also would go along with the Ace of Wands.
Mm-hmm.
So little business venture. And then the other two cards really go together. They're talking about autumn, in the autumn. So in the fall season, everything comes together and you reap wonderful harvests of abundance. So maybe starting now with the business venture, some of it will begin to pay off and you'll begin to see the rewards in the fall. But also, they're telling you to take a holiday, that the answer you're looking for can be found during a vacation, retreat, or holiday getaway. So, maybe you're working too hard at what you're working on, and maybe you need to take a little break and relax, get yourself focused on your business venture. And by the fall, you'll have a lot more of return from that business venture.
True.
So that's what they're saying. So very different from what Gerald said, but
I don't know if it's that different, because you're right. Because when you've been focused on something too long, you need to have a good laugh. You need to get out and about and move around.
Right?
So you can speak
I
clearly.
agree.
And fairies and fae will help you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm not seeing any other questions. I'm so sorry I lost whatever that. Oh, Kimber. Okay, so let's do Kimber, then we'll talk about Neptune and Pluto. So Kimber says, may I have a message for my career growth? I'm
Hi,
going to
Kimber.
stick with messages from the fairies. White Wolf Mother, you asked, do we both journal? I do, but I'm very haphazard at it. But I do journal.
I haven't journaled in a long time. I used to do daily stream of conscious writing, but I haven't done that. Kimber, the first card that I have for you is the Ace of Cups. And the message with this is it's important to understand what it is that makes you happy, what gives you a solid feeling of you want to show up at work and you want to do. I'm wondering if there is a I mean, there's I don't know if there's four options for you or things that are going at work for people who are trying to make you happy. But it is an important thing, Kimber, to pay attention to where you what is making you happy with the work and pay attention to that. Because we also have this is a very emotional reading. This is the Six of Cups, and this is the I'm wondering if there's some past connections that you have that may help you with your career growth. Someone that you may have known before, reach out and connect with them and to be listening to what they may have to offer, because it could certainly lead to something. This is the Ace of Wands, so could lead you to another opportunity, perhaps.
So I picked from messages from the fairies. I got 3 cards, and they really do go along with what Gerald said, but also they go along with each other. So the first one is affirmations. It says to lift up your thoughts and energy and to attract what you desire, use positive affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing, is you want to get your little list of positive affirmations going. And then you want to have faith that everything is working in your favor, because what you're desiring is within your reach.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you're very clear on what it is that you're going for. Like the message that you ask, may I have a message for my career growth? Well, are you really asking, when will I get that promotion? Or when will I get that new job? Or do I need to change jobs or careers or whatever? Or when will my boss die so I can take over? I mean, whatever your real desire is, you got to hone in on that. You got to be a little more specific and don't allow it to be too ambiguous. And then the last one, and this is the big kicker. Hang on to this, Kimber. It says, patience, please. I'm sure you don't want to hear that, but it says,
Mm-hmm.
what you're asking for is coming about. Have patience, as there are unseen factors that need to occur first. So it's a little bit of a timing thing. And I'm thinking that the timing is for you to become more specific on what you need, or for you to get to the point where you absolutely have to have it. Like your desire just gets more intense. And I'm going to tell you something that we always say in the pagan community. If Gerald doesn't say it, just ignore him. But it's, don't stop 5 minutes before the miracle. When you are setting things up to get what you want, and you're visualizing it and you're saying your affirmations, first of all, don't overdo that, because then you're saying to the universe, I don't really believe it's going to happen, so I'm going to say it 100,000 times. Put your intention. That's why spell work is important. I don't always advise doing spell work for what you want to get, but when you're first trying to learn how to manifest and get things manifesting, spell work is good, because you really get focused on what your intention is. You do a little ritual about getting it, and then you let it go.
Yep.
And let the universe do its magic. And the thing is that time will pass, and maybe a whole moon has to pass before you get what you want, or maybe 6 moons have to pass before you get what you want. And you may lose faith, and you may think, oh, maybe that wasn't really for me. That's giving up 5 minutes before the miracle.
Yep.
So
Stick
you
with
got to
it.
hang in there, stick with it, and get focused on what you really are intending,
Exactly.
what you really want.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So are there any other questions, or will Let's see. Will my finances improve?
Jill
Okay.
also asked one
I'll,
earlier than
I'll yeah, I'll do one for Jill and you do the other.
that. Okay. And while we're doing that, everybody, please make sure you like and subscribe because it's free.
It's free. My little midsummer gift to you. Okay,
There you
so Gerald, why don't you do this one for her?
Okay.
Will my finances improve? And I'll work on the other one while you're doing that.
Okay. Jill, will my finances improve? Let's see what we've got with that. For entertainment purposes only. I have the Ace of Wands, so yes. Especially this time of the year. Next week might be a really good week for you. The hint comes: don't be foolish. If you get this sudden influx of money, don't randomly spend it. Pay off what you need to pay off first. Do what you need to do with it. Because we also have, it does feel that there's this is the 6 of coins. And so, Jill, there may be an opportunity. Someone may be offering you some opportunity to make some money. So if that happens, say yes, and keep your side of the bargain, because it's definitely a balancing.
Very nice.
So,
Very
yeah, I mean,
nice.
come on, that Ace of Wands. I mean, woo, yes, make
Yep.
up pretty quick, but pay attention to that.
Yeah. All right. Her other question actually was her first question is, will I meet someone soon? Husband passed in 2019. And I pulled out 3 cards that I've never even seen in this deck. I don't remember ever seeing them before. So the first one really answers your question. It says, goodbye to the old, hello to the new. You've finished one part of your life, and now a new and even better part is beginning. And that's the picture there. Nice sitting in there. And then the other 2 cards are very interesting. One is children. Your connection with children is part of your life's purpose. And birthday, a significant birthday holds the answer to your question. So it could be that you come in contact with this person at the birthday of a child, perhaps. I mean, and it doesn't have to be a child who's 4 years old. I mean, it could be your child that's 25. I mean, I don't know. I don't know your situation. So don't let the word child throw you off. Just, it could be your offspring or it could be, somebody else's, but it's maybe the birthday party of this child is going to be a social event that you won't soon forget, shall we say. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying to that. And now I think we've done all of the right? Yeah, we've done all the questions. So now let's talk about Neptune and Pluto. So
let's do that.
Neptune and Pluto. Neptune has been sitting on the United States Neptune, or sitting across the sky from our natal Neptune for several years, couple of years. And this is bringing us back to the mindset of where we were in this country around the Civil War, which was a ways after the time of this country starting, but not so far away. It was kind of around there. Also, Pluto is now hovering, and it's really hovering because it's gone into this retrograde thing at the exact place it was when our country was formed. So that whole era is kind of being revisited. And that's why our government is on, just not falling apart, but just being exposed. All the weakness is being exposed. All the corruption is being exposed. And that's Pluto. But in the meantime, Pluto and Neptune are in very good aspect to each other, very harmonious. And because they are such slow moving planets, they are staying in that configuration for like they've been there this whole year so far. They haven't really budged. Now, this makes peacemaking very easy. And I think this is why Joe Biden has made so many miraculous bipartisan legislative achievements, since he's been president, is because Pluto and Neptune have been very, very favorable to him. I
Hmm.
think it's had an influence on Zelensky with his war. And I think that whatever is going on in Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin's chart is not favorable to this aspect at all. And this is why they're having a very, very hard time. So Pluto is going to continue in this way. It won't really truly be in the sign of Aquarius for good until the very end of 2024. So really 2025 is when we're going to see the new government really begin to be formed.
Hmm.
Um, but Neptune will move out. I don't think by the end of this year. Let me just take a quick peek. Where it is at the end of the year. I don't have my glasses. Oh, crazy. Okay, Neptune at the end of the year. Yeah, still in Pisces, still retrograde. So sometime in 2024, it's gonna move, it's gonna go direct, and eventually it's gonna move into Aries. When it moves into Aries, it will no longer be affecting us in the way that it is now. But until then, there will be alternately many people who can succumb to the gaslighting, and
Uh,
then they wake up, and then they succumb to the gaslighting, and then they wake up. And I'm telling you, if you wanted a good business idea, it would be to create deprogramming programs that would be attractive to MAGA Republicans, because they're going to need the same kind of deprogramming that people need when they come out of cult life, when they,
sure.
when they leave a cult. And so people who are doing that kind of work, that's who you want to be, because that's going to make a lot of money. Um, and lawmakers and lawyers, with all of this Pluto action, are also making a lot of money right now. Although a lot of them are getting raked over the coals because they might kind of be on the wrong side of the law. But it's a very exciting but kind of dangerous time in our country when it comes to our laws and lawmakers and
Hmm.
lawyers. It's really, really kind of exciting. So.
Yeah.
But do you remember why we brought this up, the Neptune and Pluto? Because I kind of
You
lost.
had talked a little bit about what was going on in the sky.
Yeah, it's that Neptune Pluto sextile, that nice harmonious aspect, that
Yeah.
if not for that, we would be starting wars,
Mhm.
and the GOP would have their way. We'd be in chaos, and we would be starting wars all over the place.
Yeah.
But that harmonious aspect between Neptune and Pluto, it's very strong. A, because Neptune is in the sign of its domicile, it's in Pisces, and that's the ruler. And Pluto for so long was in Capricorn, where it's not its domicile, but it's very, very powerful there. And it's moving into Aquarius, where it's lighter. You'll feel when we get into 2025, this oppressive feeling of, oh, what's in the news today and what's happening with that's that's gonna just dissipate into the ethers.
Wow.
That's not gonna be the way things feel in
Yeah.
2025. But
Yeah.
2024, we still have some of this to get through.
Yeah. Beth also asked, said, Colleen, did you say something about these planets having to do with deaths?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Pluto demands a sacrifice. So if you watch some of my videos about the full moons, and I'm working right now on July's astrology and full moon. But when Pluto hits a point in your chart, it does bring about, that's what it was. It was that so many people have lost people. That's it.
Yes,
So,
yes,
so
thank
as Pluto goes through and touches a sensitive part of your chart, that's where it will demand a sacrifice. And the sacrifice very often is a death, a real physical death. Not your death, usually, but
you.
people around you. And unfortunately, these are things that are in our life contract. This is why we came here, not necessarily to experience death, but to outlive some of the people who are in our life. We're not meant to all just come here, be born on the same day, and die on the same day. You know, we're spiritual beings, divine creatures experiencing a human life.
Mm-hmm.
And the human life, part of it is, as Gautama Buddha said, is suffering. That's how you experience life. Unfortunately, it's not very positive.
Yeah.
I think that's why Buddhism didn't catch on quite as much as it should in this country, because they don't like that, but life is suffering, life is change, life is unpredictable. Physical life can be very hard, but it really does come down to suffering and how well do you handle change and suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Pluto, when it hits things in your chart, it does have that sextile to Neptune, and so you can fool yourself into thinking that it's okay to do certain things that are not good for you. But
Yep.
when Pluto really hits a sensitive personal planet, that's when you will experience death in your life. And so a lot of people recently have been experiencing death, and even the years before this, when we started with COVID, look at all the death that we have all experienced. We have all gone through tremendous amounts of grief and loss and aloneness and isolation. And coming out of that, we all have to work a little harder at just loving ourselves and appreciating the world outside. And midsummer, great time to get outside and appreciate the world, appreciate your family and friends.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. And Beth said, I practice Buddhism. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional.
I love that. That's great. Now, see, if you ran the marketing campaign for Buddhism, it would be much more popular in the United States. I know it's very popular. I know it's very, very popular,
Mhm.
but it's not as popular as it could be. It could be
Yeah.
much more popular. So,
Yeah. And in fact, that's interesting because Buddhism it's a philosophy, it's an approach, and it works with all different spiritual, religions and spiritual paths. It's like
mhm.
it's like turns it up a notch.
Well, and I think that's like Wicca too.
I
Wicca
agree.
really isn't a religion. It's a way of life. It's a philosophy, a school of thought. And there's a lot of belief systems that turn out to be like that.
Mhm.
And it's just that we're so indoctrinated in this country to believe that one must believe in something, and that something is code for religion. And
Yes.
it's like, no, no, I don't need that. Do you need that? I don't need
Nope.
that.
Nope, not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. And one of the most amazing things that I found over I'd say about the last decade really, is just how open and accepting people in the non-traditional religious sphere are. They're just
Mhm.
very accepting. They don't care if you're a witch or you're a Buddhist or you're a this or that. Those are just labels, because when you come down to it, we're all doing the same thing.
Yes.
All
And
doing
and
the
we're
same thing.
doing the version of the thing that it works for us.
Mhm.
And I don't want any part of something that tears other people down to build themselves up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's intolerance, so we don't need that. We don't
No.
need that at all. And,
No.
I just wanna say too that there are people who don't appreciate tolerance as much as maybe we do,
Mhm.
but the way to handle it, and you didn't do this, but some people do. Some people really want to point a finger or put them down or judge them just by saying, they're so small-minded, they don't. But the thing to do to really build yourself up and keep your vibration high is to send them so much love.
Yes.
When you send them so much love and they're in the same room with you, if they're still small-minded and judgmental, they can't stay in that room.
Uh-uh.
They
So
have to leave,
true.
So it's all about love. Love is very powerful. It's powerful at getting you the things you want, but also it's powerful at creating a bubble around you so that you don't have to interact with people that you really don't want to.
Yep. That's so true.
But we are light workers. We should strive to spread light even to them.
Well, of course, and spreading love works, does that.
It
So,
does. It really, really does. It
yeah.
does. My goodness, we've been on almost an hour and a half. I didn't know there was that much to say about midsummer.
Well, I had somebody text me as we were talking, and she was lurking, and she said, You and Colleen need to have more conversations like this.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do one for the upcoming Sabats, and my schedule is going to be a little weird for a while, but we might do a pre-recorded one or two
Mhm.
so that we can release them. Well, Llamas we can do. Mabin, yeah, and even Samhain. Maybe we could pre-record those.
Okay.
So we wouldn't have you guys in the chat, but at least we would be able to have the conversation and stuff, because I think it is important to get it out there, because I do feel like people who are doing readings on YouTube, the mediums, the tarot readers, all the diviners, we really are a tribe. And
Yes.
there's only a very few that when you say the word witch, they kind of go, oh, well, I can't have that with my crowd. Bye. There's very few. Most people can handle it. They can handle
Mhm.
the word, they can handle the people. And when you realize that we are all just doing the same thing, and then it's like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
It's a word.
Yeah. And
So,
those are the people I want to hang out with.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
very much so.
yeah. So, once again, you have enlightened us with amazing information about Midsummer. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for,
having me.
yeah, thank you for wearing your crown. I so appreciate that. It's
This
just so,
whole thing,
yeah, yeah.
I've
And
got a
thank
couple of
you.
others.
Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. And thanks for remembering where I was with my astrology. So I come back to it.
There you go.
So,
That's
oh
perfect.
boy. Okay. Well, everybody, we will be doing more of these. The next one is going to be llamas. Llamas for my tribe is happening the weekend of, I think, August 5th. Yeah, I circled it on here. And so we will probably be doing llamas on August 4th if you are available. But
Okay.
we'll discuss that offline. So
Yep.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah. Gerald, do you have any last words?
Thank you for inviting me, and
Mm,
for goodness sake, be nice to yourself so you can be nice to other people, everybody.
good words, good words. And on that, I will say love to everybody, love and light. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.